Okay, everyone, we are back. Thank you for joining us once again. さあ、皆様再開させていただきます。Thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us here today at Sushi Tech Tokyo. So whether you're joining us in person or online, it's now time to start the Sushi Tech Challenge final round. My name is Justin Patterson, and I'll be your MC for today. 引き続き司会を担当させていただきますのは、私、ジャスティン・パターソンです。皆様どうぞよろしくお願いします。Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so as a special guest at Sushi Tech Challenge 2026, we have received a message of support from Mr. Kyuichi Minoru, who is, as you may know, the Minister in charge of Japan's growth strategy and Minister in charge of startups. So without further ado, let's check that out before we move on to our pitches. それではご覧いただきましょう. Here we go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Minoru Kyuichi, Minister in charge of startups. It gives me great pleasure to extend my warmest congratulations on the occasion of Sushi Tech Tokyo, which is steadily progressing towards becoming Asia's largest innovation conference, being held with such energy and verve once again this year. I deeply regret not being able to stand among you in that hall today. In 2022, the government of Japan formulated the Startup Development 5-year plan, and since that time, we have pressed forward in the creation and nurturing of startups. As a result, the number of startups in our nation has now reached 25,000, an all-time record, representing an increase of approximately 1.5 times compared with 2021. This is only one proof that the startup ecosystem of our country is steadily developing. I am deeply encouraged by the strong leadership of Governor Koike and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, who are championing the creation and growth of startups, including their hosting of Sushi Tech. We too shall redouble our commitment to those bold entrepreneurs who dare to challenge the frontiers of the possible. This year, in order to help formulate the Takaichi Cabinet's Japan's growth strategy, I established the Startup Policy Promotion Subcommittee with myself at its helm. Our deliberations have been organized around 3 pillars. First, scaling up startups. Second, supporting deep tech startups. And third, fostering and nurturing startups that play a key role in regional economies and local societies. Next month, we are planning to deliver a strategy that fundamentally strengthens our 5-year plan. Together, let's build a startup ecosystem of which future generations will be proud. Thank you for your kind attention.
All right, thank you for that wonderful message. Okay, so we're going to move on to our pitch sessions in just a moment. So as you know, as I mentioned, we'll be hosting the Sushi Tech Challenge Final. This is a pitch contest where startups compete to address the global challenge of building sustainable cities through advanced technology. So Sustainable High City Tech gives us the word Sushi Tech. And there were entries from 820 companies in over 60 countries around the world, and 18 startups made it to the semifinals, which were held yesterday. From among those, 7 finalists from the semifinals will be giving a pitch here today in our final round. So the winner of the final round today will receive a prize of 10 million Japanese yen. So last year's grand prize winning startup, as you may remember, or maybe already know anyway, was 3D Architect, which is a U.S. startup that delivers scalable metal 3D printing with exceptionally fine micron scale features that improve cooling efficiency. So now I hope you're looking forward to the startup that will be emerging victorious here today. So please keep an eye on today's finals for the results. I hope you'll spend as much time as possible as you can here with us during the pitch sessions. And also, we'd like to remind all attendees once again that unfortunately, photography is strictly prohibited throughout the event. We appreciate your understanding and your cooperation. A simultaneous interpretation will be available through your receivers. Please use Channel 1 for Japanese and when necessary, Channel 2 for English. 通訳のヘッドセットもですね、お受け取りいただいているかと思いますが、チャンネル1が日本語で、チャンネル2が英語となっておりますので、合わせてご使用ください。And also, for those of you joining us online, please select your desired language from the menu and enjoy the rest of the festivities today. So for those of you also, as I mentioned, joining us online, if you face any interruptions during the broadcast, this does occasionally happen, sound, video, whatever the case may be, please just try refreshing your browser, as this may solve the problem. If necessary, log out and then log back in, because that will often fix everything. Okay, so it's time to get started. First, what I'd like to do is introduce our judges for today. So when I call them one by one up here to the stage, if we can get everyone to give them a big round of applause. 早速ですけれども、本日の審査員を務めていただく皆様をお迎えしたいと思います。ぜひ皆様大きな拍手でお迎えください。So first up, co-founder and managing partner, Remarkable Ventures, Mr. Murat Aktanoglu. 皆様拍手お願いします。All right. Then founder and general partner, Benamu Global Ventures, Mr. Eric Benamu. Enjoyed a wonderful panel discussion that he was on just a little while ago, earlier in the day. Vice President from Breakthrough Energy, Ms. Ashley Grosh. General Partner, Empower Partners Fund LP, Ms. Yumiko Murakami. And last, but of course not least, co-founder and managing director at Sozo Ventures, Mr. Koichiro Nakamura. Okay, so if we can just get a few words from each of our judges. So Murat, would you kind of kick us off with that?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I was a judge at Sushi Tech 1 in 2023, so it's grown so much. It's very global, very excited to be here. Congratulations to Japan and Tokyo government.
Eric?
Likewise, very excited to be here. This is my first Sushi Tech. I'm delighted to see that there's a lot of international visitors here, which shows that this group is connected to the global innovation ecosystem.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ashley?
Thank you. I'm with Breakthrough Energy. We invest in early stage climate solutions globally. This is my second time at Sushi Tech, second time judging. This is the most exciting part.
Great. Okay, Yumiko-san?
I'm with Empower Partners. We are a Tokyo-based VC. We invest both in Japan and overseas. Every time we come here, Sushi Tech is bigger and more global. And excited to actually seeing a lot of presenters today who are also very global today.
All right, and Koichiro-san?
Hi, Ko Nakamura, Sozo Ventures. I'm based in the Silicon Valley, and I'm judging from the first year as a Murat-san. And every year, this is getting bigger, and we are very excited to see the companies.
Great, thank you very much. So, judges, if you would please now make your way to your seats. 皆様改めて拍手お願いします。これからですね、お席の方にご移動いただきまして、これからですね、審査員を務めていただきます。Okay, so then in just a moment, we will be introducing our startups that will be presenting here today at the final. So to start us off in order, just to take a look here on the screen. Okay, there it is already. You can see we'll be presenting in this order. We have Estia, Deep Mentor Incorporated, Carbotech, Lifescapes, Muniz, Pragma Clean Research Incorporated, and Asu-Ene. So these are, as I mentioned, the 7 finalists that will be giving their pitch here today on the stage. Before we do start, though, I just want to let you know a little bit about the rules for the contest, because it's changed just a little bit from yesterday, for those of you who are also watching us at the Tokyo stage yesterday. So the first pitch will be the same. It's 5 minutes pitch, or a 5-minute pitch, and then be followed by an 8-minute Q&A. So yesterday it was only 2 minutes, but today they've got 8 minutes. Today, it'll be, as I said, 8 minutes long, and please note that only the judges will have the opportunity to ask questions during the Q&A today. So after the 5 minutes and then the Q&A, which is 8 minutes, is finished, if it goes over, I will be cutting in. So don't get startled if I just kind of cut in and say, time's up, because this might happen. Actually had a couple of times where it happened yesterday. We just got lots of people here and got to keep things on schedule. So please try to keep within the 5 minutes, and of course the 8-minute question and answer after that. Okay, so here on the stage is the overall timetable right there, okay? And the finalist pitching order, same thing as I mentioned just a moment ago. Simultaneous interpretation is, just as a reminder, available through your receivers, Channel 1 Japanese, Channel 2 in English. Use, obviously, whichever one you need. And before we go on with the rest of our information, I'd like to ask all of our startups and their representatives to please... They're not coming on. Okay, good. All right, misinformation. Okay, so we'll be all seeing them in just a few minutes. So for those of you joining online, please be sure to select your desired language from the menu. So without further ado, let us get started with our final round of pitches. それでは早速ですが、参りたいと思います。So our first one, as we mentioned, from the United States, let's welcome Ms. Tiffany Ye from Estia. 皆様拍手お願いします。
Hi, my name is Tiffany Ye. I'm CEO at Estia. We make passive cooling materials that protect people from extreme heat without the use of power or batteries. Estia was inspired by my time conducting global health fieldwork in some of the world's hottest environments. My background is that I first trained as a materials engineer at MIT, then as a medical doctor at the University of Pennsylvania. And throughout that time, I just took a suitcase around the world in places without running water or electricity. So I thought a long time about how do you create cooling materials that can help a lot of people without infrastructure. So that's our mission, to create innovative cooling solutions that protect people in an increasingly hot world. Heat waves affected 80% of the world's population last year, leading to over 500,000 heat-related deaths. Now, here in Japan, last July, we saw over 24,000 cases of heat stroke that led to hospitalizations. In 1 week of that period, we saw 10,000 heat injuries reported in Japan. This has real economic consequences. Every year, globally, we see $2.4 trillion in productivity losses. Now, what we've created at Estia is this proprietary cooling material called Hydrovolt. It absorbs heat from the body, so it reduces the temperature of the skin in contact by 9 degrees Celsius within the first few minutes of application, and that's sustained over the next 6 to 8 hours. To recharge the material, you soak it in water or put it in a laundry machine along with all of your other clothing. And that's how we make it. We apply the gel to textiles and turn that into different types of clothing like arm sleeves, bandanas, I'm actually wearing one right now, inner shirts, etc., for various types of use, outdoor, field, etc. And we make it affordable, so it's priced similarly to like athletic apparel on the market. You'll see here that we print the gel in these dots. This dot matrix is important because that what enables reliable evaporative cooling even in humid places like Japan. What we've achieved, we've validated this through third-party government testing. So when we put this to the test in Singapore, we achieved a 250 increased heat dissipation wearing Estia inner shirts under police uniforms compared to uniform alone, and 20% more rapid decrease in heart rate going from work to rest cycles during activity. Here in Japan, we put this to the test on a construction site versus an existing commercial solution and achieved a 4 to 5 degrees Celsius difference where we have a lower skin temperature compared to an existing arm sleeve. Very similar results on a shipping port in Singapore, 4 to 5 degrees Celsius surface temperature reduction worn under heavy PPE uniforms. The global cooling market is valued at over $40 billion, spanning worker safety, public safety, sports, even infrastructure and cosmetics. Now, where we are today, our current business model is B2B, meaning that we sell to enterprises like construction companies, government agencies, and they'll distribute the products to their constituents. We're also exploring strategic partnerships, so talking with apparel brands and professional sports teams for broader consumer reach coming onward. Our technology lends itself well to economies of scale, meaning that as our volumes increase, the cost of production decreases, and we can make this increasingly affordable to communities in need. We've been very fortunate to have earned early traction in Japan with the support of customers like Kojima Construction and investors like Scrum Ventures. Importantly, in Japan, we were able to pilot with different use cases. For example, with school children in Hokkaido, a professional baseball team in Hokkaido, and logistics workers. So our goal is to help make Japan more resilient in the setting of extreme heat across various communities. The people behind Estia, we span the US, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan. That's where we're from, with both scientific and operational expertise to deliver a new solution to the field. So please join us at Estia in creating a cool Japan together. Thank you.
All right, that was Estia. Thank you very much. Now time for our Q&A. So does anyone have any questions? Any of our judges? Okay, Koichiro-san.
Hi, great presentation. Thank you very much. I want to ask you about the gel durability and the manufacturing scalability. And do you have any proof of the scalable partner testing or durability and the manufacturing price decrease?
Yeah, so I'll actually start with the manufacturing. That's my favorite part. So we actually do all of the gel mixing and printing in-house. We own that factory. All of the supply chain is in Taiwan. So we can print on a variety of fabrics. We get it onto the textiles and ship that to the next aspect for cut and sew and deliver the end good. I think this is really important because of quality control. Our processes are very precise. Off by 5 seconds, off by 1% intensity, the whole thing falls apart. So that's actually part of our technical moat, the recipe, but also the methods of making. Getting to the durability, so that's why the processes are so important. It has to do with the bonding of the gel to the textile. Right now, what we tell customers is expect this to last you 1 heat season. If you're taking pretty good care of it, 6 months, maybe more. My stuff lasts a year. But if you're under high duress, it could be closer to 3 to 4 months. And of course, that's something we're always improving on. In terms of scalability, I think our team has done a really great job in thinking about modular manufacturing. So you've got an equipment set, 24/7 operations, always process optimization of 1 more shirt per hour. And then you can basically get another equipment set to double that capacity linearly.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Yumiko-san.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. If you can just tell us a little bit about the competitive landscape out there. Are there other players who's got similar products with similar functionality? What are your competitive advantage that you would say about your company versus what's available today in the marketplace?
Sure. So I'll broadly divide that into active cooling, passive cooling. So we sit into passive, no electricity. Active cooling is what you see a lot with the fan jackets, right? So fans and a jacket, et cetera, various water circulating vests. With that, you need batteries, and then you'll need to recharge the batteries. So it's really more of a maintenance question. For passive cooling, our type of material is a hydrogel, and our hydrogel is actually very similar to industrial designs, what people use in cold chain packaging, rooftops. So you get a big delta sustained over a long duration of time, actual temperature reduction. Historically, phase change materials have been what you've seen in passive cooling. The thing about phase change materials is that they buffer on a set point. So it's less about the delta temperature reduction, it's more of a thermal comfort. Our goal is as much heat dissipated as quickly as possible during activity.
All right. Eric, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Great presentation. Could you tell us how you go to market? Do you sell directly to garment factories? Do you sell to retailers? And how do you price also?
Yeah, so right now we sell direct to enterprise. So a construction company, a police force will place the purchase order. And so it's basically however many units of something from our product catalog times the price. Inner shirts are priced at $57 US, $37 US for arm sleeves. That's really the range that we sit in.
Okay. We have any other questions? Yes, please.
Can you speak a little bit to the IP? Is it in the design or in the gel phase change material?
So it's in the formulation of the hydrogel itself, the specific recipe and all its numbers together. And then also the application, the process parameters of getting it onto different substrates. Could be a textile, could be a different form factor like a patch, et cetera. So we filed so far 3 patents around this kind of portfolio of knowledge. And of course, some of it's trade secret as well.
Sorry, one more, my friend. I'm thinking too about additional applications. So this is a wearables, but what about the bedding market?
Oh, Okay, I'll start with the bedding part because a lot of people have asked us. Part of it is just you need to launder this every day or like pretty frequently. So the way that we designed it is like a worker wears a shirt. At the end of their 8 to 10 hour shift, it's going to be pretty dry. And so they'll get home, they'll throw it in the laundry or maybe swap it out with a second one. So I think there is definitely potential. It's just like thinking about applications where there's frequency of laundering. I will say something I didn't touch on earlier is that this can also be applied to non-human cooling, right? So we actually have these gel slabs where it's pretty good at dissipating heat off equipment. So think batteries, think phones, PCs. So that's something that we're starting to explore now that we've kind of earned a foundation in our core market.
Have you explored, great job by the way, great pitch. Have you explored licensing? Like, have you talked to anybody about, for mass adoption, obviously?
Yeah, so we are in talks with different apparel brands. I think part of that is balancing brand partnerships versus our own D2C motion, where we can really control our relationship with audience. Likely in parallel, I will say we're leaning more towards like a supplier relationship with brands. Where we're interested in licensing is, for example, we actually own a cosmetics patent. We like changed the formulation, turned into a skincare mask. It would be great to monetize that through licensing to a skincare conglomerate because it's pretty far out of our core market.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, then we'll go ahead and move on to our next presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita. That was Estia. Give us just a moment for our next presenter. Okay, looks like he is ready to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our next presenter from Taiwan. Let's welcome Mr. Mitch Yang from Deep Mentor Incorporated. 皆様拍手でお迎えください。どうぞ。
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitch Yang. I'm the CEO of D-Mentor, and we are here to make AI models small enough for Japan's big ideas because we believe your Tamagotchis deserve a brand upgrade. And we are coming out with Edge AI IC at 10% of the cost, 20% of the power, low latency, and your data will stay with you. They will never run off to the clouds. Japan's Edge AI market is massive. 3 trillion yen and 10 million units a year, and ranging from gaming hardware all the way to industrial IoT. But we got a problem. Today's Edge AI IC are too expensive, too power hungry, too slow to deploy, and have all kinds of privacy risks. We got a solution. D-Mentors turn AI model directly into silicon through our miniaturization and hardening process. It's like turning an asset into a haiku. Same meaning, 10% of the size, and more beautiful. Okay, other people are doing it, right? But we got 2 patented breakthroughs. Number 1, AI model miniaturizations. Competitor trying to shrink AI model through quantization and pruning, all they got is lost details and unstable result. D-Mentor's miniaturization process keep details with stable result, and we reduce the size by 90%, and accuracy is 99% retained, and with dynamic precisions. Patented breakthrough number 1. We skip the middleman, and all AI models go directly into the silicon. Traditional way of doing it is through compiler and SDK. It takes 15 plus months, and all it got is a generic NPU. D-Mentor's cross-model optimization takes only 2 to 3 months, and the result is a finite state machine built circuit and can be turned into IC or IP directly. Sounds too good to be true, right? Because we are different. We are not AI engineer, not software engineer, not hardware engineer. We are EDA IC design engineers. Different perspectives give us a totally different angle to tackle the problems. Instead of 5 or 8 nanometer process, We use 20 nanometer mature process. The cost is only 1/4. And the silicon utilization can go up to 90% versus 10 to 20%. Our model go directly to RTL circuit in 2 to 3 months versus 15 months. And the cost per chip is 1,500 yen versus 15,000. Some 1 watts operation is very battery friendly. Okay, we already got proven result. Besides EDA simulation, we put our miniaturized model on FPGA for prototype and products, and they are delivered to our clients already. We also put our model on production hardware like this circuit, and we already deliver it to our clients as well. And the result is quite similar to our EDA simulations. Okay, let's build the future of edge AI together. Okay, 10% of the cost, less than 0.5 seconds of latency, sub 1 watts battery power, very friendly, and 99% of accuracy. In Japan, we are looking for investment partner for our Series A, and Japanese OEM, co-development of Japan-specific edge AI applications. Jack is a veteran of EDA tool design engineers, and he got PhD, paper, and patents on it. I'm a former NASA engineer, serial entrepreneur, and managing partner of $200 million funds. Together, we lead the mentor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. That was Deep Mentor Incorporated. So it's now time for our Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? Any of our, okay, if you would, please.
Hi, great presentation.
Thank you.
And can you talk about the scalability of model-to-chip approach, and especially for the fixed function applications you're thinking about the initial market?
Could you repeat that? What the scalability of what?
You need to update the chip.
Right, exactly.
Every 3 months.
Sure.
So, there's more flexibility development of those applications.
Right. That's a very, very good question, because we look at the development, the progress of AI models, right? But now AI model kind of consolidates around transformers. So any new model coming out, basically they are the modification of transformer model with minor changes to minor layer like rope layers. So we build that kind of flexibility in our chip design. All we have to do is change the parameter. During our runtime, you can load the parameter and change those intermediate layers and make it flexible for different kind of models. So as long as it's transformer model based, then our model, our solution can fit that.
Sorry, do you think about one specific area you can target first?
Right now, we got requests from drone markets. Your drone got interference, they don't have internet connection, and they need low batteries.
Do we have any other questions? Eric?
Yeah. Can you give us a sense of your testing approach to ensure that the distillation process preserves the integrity of the model?
Okay. Our engineers, they all come from an AI lab from Taiwan's Tsinghua University. So they are very well trained. So they basically use EDA simulation to test the result. And then a lot of them actually put on prototype on FPGAs. So we've done that process for quite a few models. So we understand the stability and the quality of that miniaturization process. So it's been proven, and we've delivered that product to clients.
And how much did it cost you to test a model?
Right now, because we are using existing model and do this, I don't have an exact number, but I think it's less than $500,000, maybe at most up to $1 million. Yeah.
Okay, we still have some time. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay,
Yes.
Yumiko-san.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. If you can just tell us a little bit about your partners, whether they're financial partners or on the manufacturing side, you're looking for OEM partners in Japan. So why is Japan important in in that space in terms of having partners, both on the financial side as well as the operational side? Why is Japan and important, maybe other countries like US, in terms of looking for partners?
Well, Japan got Tamagotchi, right? Actually, Japan is very, very good with all these kind of very personable devices. And a lot of them, you want privacy. You don't want to have a toy with camera staring at you at 7 years old, right? So you don't want internet connection and you want it battery powered. So that's one of the big applications in Japan. And also, we are looking for venture capital investment. And, money is money, right? Everywhere is the same. But, that's one of the big reasons that we are coming here.
Okay, we do have still some time. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, please.
So, thank you. Great presentation. Very interesting. So, long term, as the world evolves and everything improves and the platforms expand, how do you see your moats against competitors? Like, where is your biggest technical advantage?
Like I said, the way we tackle the problem is from a very different angle. We are from ED engineer, and the granularity is very, very different because we look at the circuit level, not the software subroutine or AI model layer. So that's the difference. And you are right, because this is, we are still the number one and probably the only one taking care of that problem from that angle. People are going to catch up with us, so we need to invest, continue to extend the lead.
Okay, we still have a little bit of time left. Does anyone else have any questions? Is that all? Okay. Oh, one more? Okay, sure. Murat-san.
Can you talk about traction? Do you have like live customers right now?
Yes, we do. Taipei City government, they are using our AI-enhanced hardware to do traffic management.
Okay, any other? All right, thank you very much. Then
Thank you.
that was Deep Mentor Incorporated, Mr. Mitch Yang. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to our next presenter. Give us just a second to make sure they got everything they need to get going. まもなく次のプレゼンテーションとなります。ちょっと今、最終調整を。大丈夫でしょうか? Okay. All right, next up from Malaysia, representing Carbotech, let's welcome Mr. Chor Chi-ho. 皆様拍手お願いします。
Konnichiwa, I'm Chiho from Carbotech, where we harness nature's power to power nature. There's this cutting-edge technology called carbon quantum dots, CQD, which happened to win the Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2023. And at Carbotech, what we do differently is to invent a new acid-free green process to make CQD from agricultural waste, like rice husk. And with this organic CQD, we developed the world's first photosynthesis enhancer. A foliar spray spraying onto plants to help plants utilize light energy better. Global food demand is projected to increase by 56% by 2050. Farmers are facing rising input costs, climate volatility, and over-intensification. So how can we produce more food with less land, less chemical, and less cost? The secret lies in the leaves. Photosynthesis is a fundamental process of plants absorbing sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to churn out carbohydrate and oxygen. And this process is not very efficient because 96% of light energy is just wasted. Our material, CQD, converts unusable wavelengths into usable light spectrum for plants. Imagine like a solar panel upgrade for plants without genetic modification. And our CarboGrow photosynthesis enhancer has been validated by our clients, customer, piloting partners across more than 40 types of crops and 8,000 acres of commercial farms. And why is this relevant to Japan? First, it's safe and sustainable, derived from agricultural waste. And for farmers, it's easy to use because you can simply mix it with fertilizer, pesticide, and spray at one go. That aligns with Japan's push towards sustainable agriculture and food security, and especially in the aging farming population of Japan. So this is our customer from Malaysia. So Shazwan has recorded 144% jump in profit due to higher crop yield, better fruit quality, and reduced chemical pesticide usage. And in Zambia, we partner with the biggest seed manufacturer, Seedcore, and help their customer to improve yield by 31% in corn. And in Pakistan, sustainable cotton grower saw 82% improvement in yield. So we are talking about actual income transformation for smallholder farmers. And back home in Malaysia, we have completed this government project and uplifted 1,000 smallholder farmers to increase their income by $690,000. And in Japan, we have collaborated in Ibaraki Prefecture and recorded 17% rice yield improvement. And agriculture is our first vertical. The true asset lies in our CQD production capability. So we have used CQD in enhancing bioactive compound for biomedicinal herbs, as well as boosting efficiency of perovskite solar cells. So we are now moving fast by working with different distributors and partners across these 19 countries. And back then, in 2024, we have raised $2 million to upscale our production by 50 times. And last year, we have quadrupled our revenue. So Tokyo can be closer to net zero if all the plants in the city are enhanced by our technology. We can accelerate carbon removal by 20 to 60% more. Our chief scientist, Professor Dr. Shraya, is also the world's top 2% scientist with 20 years in nanotechnology. I bring 15 years in business development. Our COO is a second-time founder, exited his previous agribiotech startup. So we aspire to be the global technology leader in bioquantum dots technology, backed by investors from Silicon Valley, Australia, Sweden, Japan, and more. And we are currently fundraising $4 million to scale our IP expansion, regulatory approval, and further R&D and market entry. So nature already has the power. In the leaves, with the sun, within agriculture waste. And at Carbotech, we just unlock the power. Thank you.
All right, that was Carbotech. So now time to move on to our Q&A. Do any of our judges have any questions? Murad?
Thank you very much. It's very impressive. Great job. My question is more like, what is the cost, first of all? And have you ever worked with the farmers directly without the government involved?
Yeah. So let me share this. So for an average smallholder farmer cost, per acre, the cost of purchasing our product per acre per crop cycle will be $19 US. 19 US dollar. So it's very affordable even for a smallholder rice farmer. And talking about adoption without the help of government contract or even like big plantation, it's a bit challenging, especially with the aging farming population. Because each farmer, usually they are less receptive to new technologies. Yeah.
Exactly. If I may follow up, what's your go-to-market then?
Yeah. So in different countries, we work with partners like, for example, seed manufacturer, organic biostimulant producer, even direct contract farming companies, as well as chemical companies, agrochemical companies. So leveraging on their distribution channels and their credibility in the field. Yeah.
We still have plenty of time.
Yes.
Okay, Yumi-san.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. Please tell us a little bit about the sort of regulatory environment that you're working with. You know, are there certifications or any other sort of government, certified licenses, requirements that you have been able to meet? I would imagine it depends on the country, depends on the market you're targeting, but if you can just share a little bit of color on that front. Thank you.
Yeah. you're right, very much dependent on countries and how the regulatory bodies view our solution, because it's neither fertilizer nor pesticide. So our approval in Malaysia, Thailand, and also Australia, our product is seen as biostimulant. So we have passed all the non-toxicity tests with these regulatory bodies and get the product as certified as biostimulant. Whereas in China, through our distributor, we have gained the approval of fertilizer for our product. So again, dependent on country, how they evaluate our product. Yeah.
What about Japan? If you were
So
to
in Japan,
enter
we
Japan?
are structuring the registration process with a partner, Seiwa Group. So they are still working on to get the product registered. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yes.
じゃあ、小一郎さん。
Can you talk about the competitive landscape?
Yeah. So you can see from this slide, we have two indirect competitors. So for example, UBGrow from US, they are producing heavy metal-based quantum dots. So their quantum dots are not biocompatible, hence limit the usage directly on food crops. So they made greenhouse film using their quantum dots, and the greenhouse film will be able to enhance photosynthesis for plants under the greenhouse. Whereas for Glea, they are using like a chemical synthesis method to make carbon quantum dots. And for us, we are using agricultural waste. So we see our sustainable source will be more feasible for the long term and will not be subjective to cost volatility of a chemical compound.
Okay.
How about illicit plant and related to the buyer? Do you think about the competition?
The plant
No, illicit plant. The company.
or exit plant. Yeah, okay. So of course, we have plan A and plan B. Plan A could be IPO. Plan B could be acquired by bigger conglomerates in agrochemical or even in biotech. Yeah. And hence, we are starting to working with some big names in this light. Hopefully, one day they see the potential and synergy with our solution, and they will acquire us. Yeah.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Eric?
Yeah. Are there any real or perceived side effects to the use of CQD at scale?
Yeah. So just to explain more about carbon quantum dots or CQD, so this nanoparticle is actually present in our food. So we have seen CQD present in soy sauce, milk, cooking oil, honey, and a lot of other liquid-based food products. So we have been consuming CQD without our realization for many, many years. And this is like a natural carbon component in the environment as well. So what we invented, it's like a manufacturing scale process to make quantum dot at scale, rather than through fermentation or rather than through our very small fermentation plant. Yeah, yeah.
But do you perceive there is a risk in consumer resistance to this simply because this is new? And
Yeah,
this is,
definitely.
And even though it's real, I mean, it's based on nature, it's somewhat artificial because you're boosting it.
So if you are talking about boosting plant photosynthesis, we are not like making the plant to stress and work extra hard. We are just giving them optimum increase in the light energy usage. So imagine, for example, during overcast weather or monsoon season in our region, sunlight is insufficient. And hence, farmers face drop in productivity by up to 40%. But during sunny days, summer weather, the productivity is at optimum level. So we are bridging that gap, bringing those unproductive periods to be on par as the productive periods. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think we got time enough for one more question. Ashley, maybe?
Yeah, great presentation. How do you think about, you gave some great examples really from around the world, but how are you going to get to all these places? How do you distinguish, starting in Asia? You mentioned a project in Africa. How are you thinking about that go-to-market across the countries?
Yep. So we are born in Malaysia. The technology is homegrown in Malaysia, and Malaysia is quite a small market for agriculture. And back then, being like a Malaysian technology inventor, no one would really appreciate a technology that it's maybe from a less developed country. So we proved that by working with a lot of partners around the region who believes in our technology and have confidence, and hence we would like to continue to work with them so that we can actually benefit smallholder farmers in less developed region to scale up our impact. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have for our Q&A. Thank you very much. Once again, Mr. Georgie Ho from Carbotech. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。We'll be moving on to our next presenter in just a moment. Give us just a second here to make sure they are ready. Okay, looks like we are ready to go. So, joining us here on his home turf from Japan, Mr. Ryotaro Hirose, representing Lifescapes. 皆様拍手でお迎えください。どうぞ。
Hello, we are Lifescape from Japan. Our brain-computer interface, our target is patients with severe hand paralysis following stroke. Our brain-computer interface rewires the brain retrieve movement to patient once stall recovery was impossible. Stroke is one of the world's top 4 diseases. Look around you. 1 in 4 of the people you see today will have a stroke in their lifetime. And the number of patients has increased by 40% over the past decade. And 100 million stroke patients are living with consequences, the prolonged hospitalization and the loss of independence. However, current methods are not effective for treating hand paralysis, especially in severe cases. And severe hand paralysis impacts about 30% of 100 million stroke cases, leading to $900 billion in economic losses annually. Here, instead of focusing on the paralyzed hand, we turn attention to the brain, the control center behind every movement. Conventional treatment targets the paralyzed hand itself, but have shown limited success. By targeting the brain, we aim to tackle the root cause of paralysis. And based on this concept, we developed neuromodulation device using BCR technology. Using wearable edge device, brain signals are read out and transmitted to a tablet PC. An AI in the tablet analyzes the brain waves and drives the robot when it detects the remaining neural circuits are activated. And robot supports finger movement, simulates muscle, and gives feedback to the brain. And through this framework, BCR facilitates the reorganization of the brain, enabling the paralyzed hand to move again, even without the device. This is a clinical study with chronic and severe patients who were thought to have no further recovery potential. Before BCR treatment, there was no muscle response and clenched hand could not be opened. But after just 2 weeks of BCR treatment, muscle responses were observed, and he could grip and release objects. And about 74% of patients showed significant recovery from severe to moderate stage. Since launching the medical device 1.5 years ago, we have already treated over 1,000 patients. One severely impaired patient, initially unable to move his finger at all, regained moderate function after just 2 weeks of BCR treatment, and continue with 4 weeks of therapy. He's now able to write and eat using his previously impaired hand, significantly improving his quality of life. 2 BCR devices have been launched as a medical device in the United States and Europe. While competing products require 12 weeks of training period, our device achieves better results in just 2 to 4 weeks. Furthermore, our device is easier to use, setting up in half the time at lower cost than competing products. Regarding intellectual property rights, we hold 24 patents, design, and trademarks. Our business model starts with hospitals and rehabilitation facilities. Within the first year of our launch, we generated $1 million in revenue and sold over 70 units across Japan and Malaysia. And this is only the beginning. And beyond this, from there, we will expand our therapy from clinic through home-based subscription model, creating large and recurring revenue streams as patients continue training after discharge. And from there, we will expand into Southeast Asia. And Southeast Asia only has 8,000 facilities, and 9.2 million stroke patients are waiting to be reached. The roadmap is clear. Japan is already generating revenue, and Southeast Asia is launching now. And and United States and Australia and EU follow through clinical trial. And the traction behind this plan is already real. Leveraging 15 years of key opinion leader relationship in Japan, where Japanese rehabilitation is most trusted across Asia Pacific, we are already expanding to multiple markets. In Singapore, we won Chisel Healthcare Inmatch and got funding and already started the joint study project with National University Health System. And in Malaysia, 5 units are already deployed at a major government hospital. And beyond that, we are now forming a commercial and research partnership in Indonesia, Taiwan, Thailand, and Australia. Our team is led by Professor Shiba. He's a globally recognized key opinion leader in neuroscience field. It also includes 18 experts in healthcare business development. With our BCI technology, we envision a future where paralysis no longer limits potential. Thank you very much.
All right, that was Mr. Ryotaro Hirose for Lifescapes. Now time for our Q&A. 質疑応答です。じゃあ、村田さん、you would?
Sumo-san, great presentation. Thank you very much. Very interesting. 2 questions. One is, why are you not in the US markets? And have you looked into FDA approval kind of process? And also, are there any side effects?
Okay, thank you for the question. We are looking for expanding into the US market, and we are now preparing the regulatory document. Actually, we already identified a predicate device, so we can proceed with the 510K procedure. That makes us easier to expand into the US markets. And for the side effects, we conducted many clinical trials, but we don't confirm the side effect until now.
Could you give us a sense of your market size? The size of the market you're targeting. You gave us some stats on one of the first slides about the number of strokes patients, but how do you map this to the size of the market?
For now, we are targeting the patients with severe hand paralysis following stroke or spinal cord injury. So market size is around 3 billion yen. But we are now actually researching the other diseases, including Parkinson's disease or dystonia. And in our laboratory, we already confirmed the effectiveness of our BCI in those diseases. And if we include those diseases, market size will be expanded into 10 billion yen. Yeah.
Okay, Nakamura-san.
Are you considering the insurance reimbursement code process? And if so, could you explain?
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, we are now planning to conduct another clinical trial in Japan to get higher insurance reimbursement. And our device is confirmed as the breakthrough device by Ministry of Health in Japan. And we are start our clinical study from this June.
Okay, Ashley, do you have a question?
Okay. Could you talk about the international expand of the reimbursement code process?
Okay. Insurance reimbursement code depends on the country. For example, in Singapore, as I explained, we already starting a testbed project with National University Health System. And then if we confirm the effectiveness in the of our VCI in the Singapore environment, then insurance will be covered in Singapore as well, and the same as in the other countries.
Thank you. Nice presentation. Are you going to manufacture locally here, and then if you scale that up and you license the technology, how do you manage the quality control?
For now, we are developing our device in Japan right now, but for global expansion, we are planning to establish another factory in somewhere in the ASEAN countries in the next 3 to 4 years.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, Murakami-san.
Yes, just on the regulation side again in Japan, PMDA, where do you stand with them in terms of PMDA? in Japan, regulatory requirements?
Okay. For the current device is already certified by the PMDA, but as I explained, we are also planning to launch another new BCI devices, and we are now talking with the PMDA, and we already finished the protocol meeting with PMDA, so we are now ready to conduct a clinical trial in Japan.
Okay, we
What's
still.
your timeline? When do you think that will
Thank you.
be done and conducted and completed?
The start of clinical trial is this August, and the end of trial, last patient out time is next year in the September.
Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question if anyone has one. We okay? All right, thank you very much. That was Mr. Ryotaro Hirose for
Thank you very much.
Lifescapes. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita. Okay, so that brings to a conclusion the first half of our pitch presentations today. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be starting back at 3:30 p.m. So it's just under a 30-minute break. So please stretch, maybe grab some tea or something to drink, maybe a quick snack or something, and please be back in your seats and ready to go at 3:30 p.m. さあここでですね、約30分間の、休憩を挟ませていただきます。再開は3時30分となりますので、ぜひその時間までにお席にお戻りいただきご覧いただければと思います。If you're going to be leaving, please be sure to return the simultaneous interpretation receivers to the staff. Also, inside the venue, we do have exhibitions showcasing products and services from some of the startups that you're seeing here on stage today. So please run on over and take a look. As I said, we'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you. Okay, everyone, we are back. I hope you had a good break. さあ、それでは再開させていただきます。いや、皆様、いい休憩はできましたでしょうか。それではですね、本日のピッチコンテストのですね、後半に突入しますけれども、残り3社ですね、すごく楽しみにしております。So we're going to jump into the second half of our pitch contest. We've got 3 presenters left. Really looking forward to those as well. Okay, so to kick us off here in the second half from South Korea, let's welcome Shawnee Kwon from Moonis. 皆様拍手でお迎えください. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shawnee from Moonis, and today I'm going to share how we at Moonis are changing the way we sleep. So to give you a quick summary before we begin, since our last investment just about a year ago, we've been making some rapid growth thanks to our growth in Japan. And to further amplify this momentum and scale our growth globally, we're raising our Series A round. So I think we would all agree that the sleep market will continue to grow. I was one of the consumer here. I was struggling to sleep a lot. That's why I decided to jump in to start this business. Among different markets, we wanted to focus on the Asian Pacific because the wellness economy and the GDP growth are the fastest and largest in the world. In Japan alone, there are estimated to be 29 million people with sleep issues, which is leading to almost 7.6 trillion yen per year in productivity and health loss. So this is a serious social issue. What Nightly does is we concentrate on solving real sleep problems. Current solutions have limitations such as having high barrier to adoption, side effects, and being generic. But what we do is we deliver this personalized sleep solution for you, tailored specific for you for each and every night. Among many things, one of the things is we played a sound called monaural beats. And we've proven that listening to our sound throughout the night increases your deep sleep ratio by 2 times. Also, before you wake up, we switch to alpha monaural waves to activate your brain and gently wake you up. To this day, we have about 6 million sleep sessions in the app, and With this, and using our AI recommendation model, we recommend different solutions to our users, including the sound, when you have to wake up, when is the best time to go to sleep, and how long you should sleep. I told you in the beginning that we did well in our Japanese market. So we actually tried out a lot of things, and we learned that Japanese users love kawaii things. So we utilized our character to put this gamification feature, which itself increased our paid conversion by 10%. So as this, we're constantly learning about the market and localizing the features to better make it more accessible for our Japanese users. Sleep is a very big part of our lives. And when our customers get their problem solved, they absolutely fall in love with our app and they become our viral machines. So thanks to that, we've been making some stand-up performance in Japan. In just a single year of launch, we've been #1 in the App Store ranking in the health and fitness category in Japan. And we're also featured as the app of the day in 151 countries. Also, the number of subscribers in Japan has been growing very quickly. By the end of this last year, we've hit 25K in subscribers, paying subscribers. Recently, we've hit 50K in paid subscribers. So the number doubled in just 3 months. Also, we're very good at creating viral creatives that appeal to the market. So in total, we've made about 1 billion views in our organic YouTube channel. So I get a lot of these questions. So Shawnee, you are not a Japanese, but how did you do so well in this market? So here are the answers to why. The first is we talked to many potential customers in Japan, and we learned that people want something more scientific, more effective than generic contents, but they want it more accessible than medical-based sleep treatment. So we found the gap and captured it. The next was all about localization and optimization. We literally talked to like 1,000 users, Japanese users on our app, and we would learn what they expect from us. And we would change the visuals, change the message, change the UX design, and also create this kawaii merch to appeal to our users. And as a result, we had 250% more updates, app updates, than our competitor in just a year. So now we're raising our Series A round to secure early leadership in the Asian sleep market. The current target is 3.5 million. We have most of it secured, so if you're interested, please reach out afterwards. My co-founder and I, we both majored in computer science, and we have a medical doctor on a team who is doing her research, and we're publishing articles. We also have 8 patents and 3 granted. We're also invested by some of the best investors and partners, medical partners. So I think we already have 50,000 active paying users in Japan. We're already impacting their lives. We're changing how they sleep. We're transforming their mornings, their days, and their life and their health. So we're now here in and beyond Japan. We're going to expand globally, and I hope you could join us in our journey to make good sleep accessible, sustainable for all society in the world. Thank you.
All right, that was Muniz. Okay, so let's move on to our Q&A. So, Eric, start us off if you would.
Yes, thanks very much. I can relate to the sleep issue. Can you explain how you measure the improvement in deep sleep? Mm-hmm. And can you also talk about your competitive moat?
For the monaural beats, we did experiment with Korea Research Institute of Standard Science. With the PSG, we detected all the levels of sleep stages, and we compared it with our monaural beats and without our monaural beats. And with that, we discovered that the deep sleep ratio increases by 2 times. That's how we discovered it. Also, we also have our watch connected for our users. So if you have a watch, you can connect it to our app. And with that data, it's a mass data. But we can learn that without using monaural beats, the deep sleep ratio is lesser than with monaural beats. So that's the other finding. And the competitive landscape, so most of the sleep apps in the market are concentrating on sleep tracking. So letting you know what stages you went through, how long you sleep, when you went to bed. But what we do is we just don't stop there, but we provide solutions that actually help solve your problems. So in that sense, it's personalized and it's intervention. So that's the way we differentiate ourselves from other sleep apps. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions? Okay. Ashley?
Yes, I too relate to this. Very fascinating. So, a couple questions. You mentioned the wearables, right? So, is your plan to integrate with, you said the watch, other apps, other wearables like the Aura Ring, things like that? Are you API compatible with things like that? And then I have a follow on.
We currently do support watch integration, but we only support 2 devices. One is Galaxy Watch and one is Apple Watch. And we know people in the North America or European countries, they use various wearable devices such as Garmin or Whoop. So we did a contract with Spike API. It's a startup, and it helps us link to different devices with a single API. So we're expecting and to expand different and to integrate different wearables.
Okay. What's the average age of your paid subscriber?
I did have that slide, but I didn't bring it here. Most of our users are in their 20s, and the 10s and 30s are similar. But our 20s are like 50% of all the paid subscribers. And even in that, we have a little more male subscribers than female. That's very surprising.
Interesting. Okay. And then how do you protect the beats?
So, like I said, our best asset and our biggest asset we have is data. So what our data does is, if someone goes to sleep, they listen to our monaural beats. But monaural beats can be made up of 1,000 combinations. So how do you know which combination will work best for you and for that night? So our data set tells you this person with this condition sleep with this monaural beats, wake up, and they get to rate their sleep. And we have this full spectrum data to let you know what monaural beats would work for you. So coming back to your question, we're doing various clinical research and trials to modify our AI engines to better recommend the monaural beats for you. And this data set itself, it's very valuable. And we currently have 6 million, but we expect to have 3 billion by 2027 with our expansion. Thank you.
All right. We still have a few more moments for questions. Does anyone have another question? No, it's okay. Maybe Nakamura-san looks like he might. Okay, all right, great. Murakami-san?
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering whether you are planning to do a little bit more research on the aging society. Especially you're trying to expand, or you're expanding in the Japanese market, where, as you know, the aging factor is a very big one.
Yes.
So just looking at your slides and what you said, it seems as if you're focused on more younger patients, and wondering if you have any thoughts around the aging profile in terms of potential customers.
Yes, we absolutely look them as our next target group. The reason being, I think the older generation in Japan, they get information from various data points, and we really need a little more time to learn how they get their data and make their purchasing decision. As an example, many women in Japan, in their older age, they get information from these magazines related to health. So we're looking for ways to put up our ads on that magazine, or maybe find a way to put up our articles on there. So I think it needs a little more time to get into the market, so it's just a GTM. But yes, we do want to break into the market, and that's our next target goal. Yes.
All right, Nakamura-san?
Have you ever think about the B2B2E market, such as a corporate benefit plan? I think that's a very interesting avenue you can think about.
Right. We actually do have a contract with LG, if you know, in Korea. And with that POC, we're trying to expand to other companies to provide our apps as the perks. But it's very actually exciting and surprising that it's not the perks, but it's from the medical team, from the company who are worried about their employees' health to help them sleep better with our app. So we're looking for other big companies who have those medical teams who really want to support the health of their employees. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? We have time for maybe one more quick one. If not, we'll go ahead and go on. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
that was
you.
Ms. Shani Kwan from Unis. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much. All right. Give us just another moment. We'll be moving on to our next presenter. まもなく次のプレゼンターとなります。It's just a second. Okay, now moving on from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ms. Bronwyn Bridges from Pragmaclen Research Incorporated. 皆様拍手でお迎えください。どうぞ。
The cities of tomorrow are facing a healthcare crisis that is already here today. Millions of people who need neurological care simply cannot get it due to the gap in specialty care and those who have these diseases. And so my name is Bronwyn Bridges, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Pragmaclen, based out of the east coast of Canada. And we have built the infrastructure to fix that. Japan currently has one of the most aging societies of over 30% of those on over 65. It also means that with the 10 million Parkinson's patients that have currently been diagnosed worldwide, we see that 90% of them never see a movement disorder specialist. Here in Japan, there's currently 160,000 people who have been diagnosed, but that's if you can get in to get the care to get the diagnosis. So we have built the infrastructure to fix that. At Pragmaclen, we've created PRIMS, a clinical decision support tool that provides real-time motion-captured assessments from within the clinic. Patients are able to stand and sit in front of the screen. The cameras and screen guide them through a series of tests and scores in real time. The algorithms have been built by movement disorder specialists across the globe to ensure the accuracy and then getting an objective assessment. From here, you can see history and trends as a clinician. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete and only a few seconds to actually set up. The key point, though, is a neurologist is not needed at that point of care. So that means that any trained person within that clinical staff can actually complete this prior to the patient seeing the neurologist. It also means that it has a home outside of areas where the neurologists aren't currently, meaning rural and remote areas, communities, and clinics and hospitals can actually access the same specialty level care. We also have a companion app you'll see here for patients and caregivers so that when they leave the clinic, the clinical care doesn't stop there. We can see insights from between assessments across trends and history. We currently started with Parkinson's disease because it was our model we knew the most. I'm a PhD Parkinson's researcher. But we also know that this has a home in all movement disorders such as stroke, rehab, MS, Huntington's, and more. So we know that this can scale, and we're ready to do that. We filed intellectual property internationally and have novel claims on that, and we know we're entering a $20 billion market size. And we're not just a concept, we do have real traction, like I said, based out of Canada, but we now have global scale. We've managed to leverage over $4 million in non-dilutive grants to get here, partnering with people who know that this is a problem and believe in the solution. We also have, as I mentioned, novel claims, but have completed our FDA pre-submission meetings. We've had 2 and have now written analysis from them on our statistical plan, our protocol, and have the green light to go ahead with our final studies for validation as a Class 2 de novo. We also have 3 streams for revenue. First, through hospitals, where we know those neurologists are, and it's an easy buy-in for them. We then have community clinics, like I mentioned, where we can scale into those rural and remote areas where they can access a patient population they couldn't before. And then we also have stream 3, which is through pharmaceutical trials, where they're completing these assessments for every trial of a new drug, but it's currently based on that subjective assessment of a neurologist. This provides objectivity to the assessments, better clinical trial endpoints for the data, and puts more drugs into the hands of those who need it in the future. From our competitor side, we are not a wearable, and we're not just a mobile app. What makes us different is we knew that there was a clinical gap, so we targeted hospitals and physicians and asked them what they really needed to improve the care for their patients. That's how we ended up starting as a clinical tool, and now we know that we can scale our algorithms we built clinically and have been validating into the mobile app in the future, but really starting with the proof of point of who's paying for it and how is it going to help the patient in the long run then. We have a lot of things happening, and I don't expect you to read all this, but in short form, we're going through our regulatory submissions, as I mentioned, using the FDA as a launching pad for actually the traction we already have in Asia through Taiwan and here in Japan with some signed letters of intent. The next thing is to then grow into the future to really position us as that gold standard for movement disorders, like I said, not just for Parkinson's. And we have real skin in the game. We were founded by myself and my co-founder, who actually was the gentleman you saw in the video earlier and was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2020. We started this together and have grown it since, although he is no longer involved in the company due to his health. We've built a team around who can make us get to market. And we're currently fundraising, although we're really also seeking pilot partners for hospitals, clinics, and pharmaceutical companies that can help us to co-validate PRIMS, as well as hopefully winning the prize today to really be able to execute on the progress we have here in Japan. Because I'll leave you with this. Every month, a city doesn't solve the infrastructure problem, another patient falls through the crack. And we hope that we can have objective answers for every patient everywhere. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was Pag McLean Research Incorporated. Let's jump into our Q&A. Okay, we're up.
Thank you very much. This is very impressive and great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is really simple. Does it work? When you use your system versus like in-person assessments, how do you know your system is actually delivering the right results?
Great question. Thank you for asking it as well to dive in. One differentiator, too, that I didn't deeply talk about is we've actually collected all of our data in-house. So it's been a slower process, but it helps with regulation, going into those FDA meetings knowing we know exactly where the data came from. And so the progress has been create all of the data in the data pool, which is now ours and owned by Pag McLean. Second was the usability and feasibility. Does this work in a clinic the way we think it will? And then that third is where we are now for validation. So all of our studies at least require 3 neurologists who are trained compared to what our score is to really be able to show it's not just one versus another. It is really across the board of 3. And you'd be shocked to see how many studies across the world have maybe 7 and all the answers are completely different. So it's actually a 75% accuracy clinically right now. If you see a neurologist, you'll 75% of the time get the same answer from someone else. And we're currently at our algorithms as they are sitting at between 85 and 90, depending on the test. And so we really hope to just be able to increase that with the more data that we have. Thank you.
All right, Nakamura-san.
Could you elaborate the FDA clearance status and the timeline?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've completed 2 pre-subs with the FDA. One was actually over a year and a half ago, and that was to really get their insights into this space and if they thought there was the predicate component, which there was not, after a lot of deliberation back and forth. So that's really helped us from a commercial standpoint of saying it is new, it's novel, and it's different. But what we then did was modified our protocol based on their feedback to capture more demographics across wider populations. For those who are not familiar with Canada, I am based in Newfoundland and Labrador, and there is no diversity there. We then had another site in Maine with no diversity, and in Ireland with no diversity. So what we've done is really worked on building those into the data piece and then moving across the globe through, like I said, Taiwan, the US, North America, and Europe, so that we can make sure it works on every population subset, like I just mentioned. So where we are now is we then went back to them just recently, actually a couple months ago, with our new protocol, our new analysis, and the demographics collected. They greenlit that, as well as the statistical analysis plan. And we actually have partners in the US who it's been a capital situation of needing the capital to execute and starting. But they believe in it so much that they've actually kind of started to launch it already in the States without cost. So we have our sites locked in, actually St. Louis, in Boston, and in Utah. And those will be the 3 validation sites aiming to finish within a 9-month time frame and analysis. So we're hoping to be done by the end of the year. And that was with wiggle room because I made sure there was for clinical variation in timing, but they're already submitting ethics approval for this. So we aim to then have our submission by end of year and hopefully then the approvals within that first quarter to commercialize. Thank you.
All right. Eric, yes, please.
So 2 questions. First, do you own the trial data and have you thought about different ways to leverage this data? And secondly, who would you consider your most dangerous competitor?
Ooh, good question, and 2 of them. Okay, first question, great question, thank you. We do own all of the data. It has also been why we've been quite picky on who our partners were up until now to really ensure that we would own all of that. And everything is de-identified. We capture all the skeletal points, which does mean that there is a lot of data we're not using, but we own, which is where we can scale into those other disorders and other disease states that I was just mentioning. So we do own all of that. There's been a lot of back and forth in getting the agreements to that point, but because it's de-identified, it belongs with us. And I do strongly believe there is actually a large market for that as well, especially in pharmaceutical companies and trials, providing access to data that is quite comprehensive for a full assessment. So yes, to being able to monetize and market that as a revenue pathway just through the data, and I think it is one of our more valuable assets that it does belong to us. It is not open sourced. And the second is, competitor-wise, there is a company that is doing some of the similar motion capture, but using a phone. And their market that they're targeting is deep brain stimulation and being able to ping into the deep brain stimulation therapy. We know that's a good market to have, but because we know there's players in there. So it looks right now like we're doing the same, but it's really going into two different patterns. So we're looking to be clinical focused. Nobody really wants to touch it sometimes because there is so much regulation to get in and adoption. But we've been in it now for several years and are still going through all of the process and have a lot of positive response and feedback from clinicians. So we're almost there after all the hard work, but I would say they would be the closest competitor, and we just hope that we have enough of a diversion between deep brain stimulation only versus clinical, where we can actually do deep brain stimulation assessments but don't need to be connected to the tool.
Okay. I think we have time enough for one more question. Murat?
Have you explored insurance codes, like getting paid by insurance? Yeah.
Yes, we have. We have actually done a few different projects into the billing that happens. And so we've looked at the two different systems. Being Canadian, we've looked at single-payer systems. The procurement is obviously the issue there in terms of timing, but that's the biggest value for wait times. For the US, we've gone through the whole billing process a few times just for different avenues because we've looked at actually being able to bill for the clinical medical exam for the system, but also to bill for the mobile app as remote therapeutic monitoring codes in the meantime, which is something we can go to market with quite quickly. So we have looked, there is billing codes we can fit in, and then depending on the clinic, whether we do a yearly, annual, or if we're doing a per assessment for those smaller facilities.
All right. I think we have maybe time enough for one more quick question if we do have one. You don't have any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. That was Ms. Bronwyn Bridges from Pride McLean Research Incorporated. Thank you very much. さあ、いよいよですね、本日のピッチコンテストの最後のプレゼンターとなります。So this is our last presenter of the day for our pitch contest. So let's welcome from Japan, Mr. Michael Hashimoto, representing Asuene Incorporated. Is he ready to go? There he is. Let's give him a round of applause. 皆様拍手でお迎えください。
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael from Asuene. Asuene is a climate tech AI company founded in 2019. Up to date, we have funded a total of $77 million. Kohei, who is our CEO, is ranked number 5 entrepreneur in Japan right now. We are also ranked as global number 2 climate tech company from Times Magazine. Asuene signifies as Earth's energy or future energy. Why did we select this name? Because as everyone knows very well, global warming is a huge issue right now. What we're trying to do is to change the world for the next generation. We want to make sure that our future generation also can enjoy the world we have. As the global warming is a global issue, we already have presence not only in Japan, but already in the US, in UK for Europe, and also Asia. So what we're trying to do is we're really trying to change the world for the future generation. To expand our business globally, it is also important that we have global connections. These are some of the global connections we have already. We are working together with associations so that we can make sure each company in each world can change things. So what exactly do we do? In one word, we provide a one-stop solution for decarbonization and sustainability. The first step is to support customers to visualize what their CO2 emission is or what their risk in their supply chains are. The second step is to support our customers to reduce the CO2 emission or to eliminate the risk in supply chains. Right now, there are regulations around the world, which I'll explain later. But due to these regulations, companies are needs to disclose their actual CO2 emissions or risks in supply chains. So these regulations are difficult to catch up. So therefore, we have consultants to support companies to prepare for that regulation. Of course, after the report, it requires some third-party authorization. So we also have a subsidiary which gives that authority. This regulation has been changing dramatically in the world, so it's very difficult to catch up with the latest status. So therefore, we also provide environmental education to companies so they're at the right stage. So where does our strengths come from? Our strengths come from AI agent Nicola. What they do is they gather information inside a company. They support customers to calculate CO2. They support making reports for the authority, also answer questions for the customers. The important point is that this data agent is basically based on a closed data, which only companies have. It's not an open source. As I mentioned about regulation, this regulation for CO2 emission disclosure has already started in Europe last year. It's going to start in US this year, and it's going to start in Japan next year. So everyone is preparing to make sure that they can disclose their actual CO2 emissions or risk in their supply chains. These are the 6 products we have right now. Asuene Supply Chain is for visualization. N0 Carbon EX is for reduction. Asuene Veritas is for third-party verification. And Asuene Carrier is for education. We have been developing our product in-house to strengthen our product. However, the market is too huge. So therefore, we are also strengthening our acquiring new companies. Basically, we try to acquire companies which has synergy with our product or competitors in a different country. By this way, we can strengthen our product, plus we can penetrate global markets. This is a full vision of the products we have. Basically, we can provide any kind of solution to customer based on needs. However, if I zoom in, there are still spaces which we lack technology. So for those areas, of course, we'll continue developing our in-house technology, but also continue to due diligence companies so that we can acquire them. So where we are right now is in Japan, we already have nearly 35% market share. Over 30,000 companies are using our service. However, if we look at overseas, we currently only have small share. So what we're trying to do is, once again, we're trying to change the world for the future generation. But the future generation is not only in Japan, they're global. So therefore, we're trying to expand our business globally. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was Asuene Incorporated. Okay, it's now time for our Q&A. 次をどうです Any of our judges? Okay, Mr. Nakamura has already got his hand up, so if you would, please.
Could you talk about the regulatory framework outside Japan?
Okay, in Japan, there's a thing called SSBJ. In Europe, there's CSRD and CSDDD. In US, there's SB2 in Japanese, 253 and 261. So basically, in each area, the regulation to disclose CO2s are happening.
Any other questions? Eric? Yes, please.
Could you describe how much would a mid-sized business need to pay Asuene to purchase this whole suite of products in order to comply with the local regulation?
That is an extremely good question. Right now, our product's ARR is between about $66,000 up to large entity, we go to nearly $1 million. So for a small-sized company, it's still affordable. The difference is because calculating CO2 is easy when it's a small company, because getting information is easy. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So do you get the data third-party verified? If the agents are running something, how are you sure there aren't hallucinations or there aren't some anomalies that are happening within the data? So you have to have that third-party verified.
So first of all, there's a difference between financial information and what we call non-financial information. For non-financial information, such as CO2 emissions or risk of ESG, the auditor checks if everyone is having the correct way to calculate it. They don't go into detail looking at the calculation itself. Because this is something new, the auditor only checks at this moment. However, future on, similar to financial auditing, it will require more deeper research.
But who is the auditor in that?
The auditor, sorry about it. The auditor is sometimes KPMG or Deloitte or EY, but we also do it in-house.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Any other questions? Yes, Murakami-san.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. Just wanted to ask you to share your perspective in terms of sort of anti-ESG trend that's been sort of, very clear all around the world in the last couple of years, and how that is impacting your business or future strategy.
There's a good example. For example, in the US, as everyone knows, Trump is not really into decarbonization. However, like the New York State, California State, or Virginia State, they have their own regulation, and all the company which does business over there needs to follow. In terms of ESG, Europe is really pushing the companies to follow the new regulation. Plus, like Bloomberg and other financial institutes are putting scores on companies saying that you have this ESG score, which will affect their financial enterprise value. So, of course, there are still headwinds towards what we are doing, but we already see a strong demand, especially for large enterprise companies, that they need to follow what the market or the government are requiring.
Yes, please.
My next question is about competition. Europe is a much more mature market for these sort of products than North America, for reasons that have been said before. And you do face significant competition from young startups who are also using an AI-based approach to be able to derive the carbon footprint more cost effectively. So how do you intend to gain share in Europe? These are small, nimble, fast-moving companies using similar technologies to what you described.
Okay, that is an extremely good question. To be honest, we are suffering in Europe due to the reason you have just mentioned. However, we are just in to close a new acquisition, which is a European company which has already share. That company has a lot of synergy with our company. Therefore, we are pretty confident that we can get market share over there. And because it has synergy, we can add value to the customer, which the acquisition, the target company in Europe. Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question. Anyone else? All right. If there are no more questions, okay, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much. That was Mr. Michael Hashimoto for Asuene Incorporated. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita. Okay, so everyone, that ends all of our presentations by our 7 final startups. As you may know, in just a few moments after this, our judges will be heading off to their chambers to go into the deliberations, and after that, later in the day, we will have the results. Before the judges do leave us, I'd like to ask them just for a quick couple of words, so we'd like just go in order if that's okay. So, Murat, can you start us off? Just a quick comment, if you would.
Great startups, and they are global. They are from all over the world, US, Asia, and Japan. And I think Sushi Tech's main goal is to promote doing good for society and improving decarbonization. So this is a great competition, another great competition.
Thank you very much. Eric?
Yeah, it's really tough to be a judge in a competition like this because you have great entrepreneurs, great passionate founders. But there is a variety of different, not just countries of origin, but also different problem areas being addressed. And the solutions are very, very different. And the stages of these companies also range from fairly raw startup to much more mature companies. So it's going to be tough for us. I don't know how we'll come out.
Ashley?
Thank you. Well, I always love when I can learn, and so I learned a lot today. very impressed with the founders. You can tell they have deep domain expertise. They are truly passionate about the problems they're solving. They've done their homework, and now hopefully the community and the investors will help them get it across the finish line. I agree. I think it's going to be a challenging deliberation, but I love seeing the diversity of technologies across health tech, across energy, and so overall, sushi tech competitions just keep leveling up.
All right. Murakami-san?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to be able to sit here and listen to amazing presentations. So obviously very different sectors, different models, different technologies, but one thing is very clear. Everyone has such a strong sense of mission, and that has come through very, very clearly to us. So again, thank you for the opportunity.
All right. And last but not least, Mr. Nakamura, if you would.
We enjoyed very great presentation, and as we realized, and we are learning a lot for today, and the level of the presentation is very high, and we will have a very difficult time to make a decision. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so with that, we'd like to proceed to the judging process. So judges, if you please stand up and make your way to your chambers. ではここでですね、これから控室の方にお戻りいただき、これからですね、競技に入ります。皆様改めて拍手をどうぞお送りください。Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。Okay, so with that, the Sushi Tech Challenge final presentations have come to an end, but obviously we're going to be announcing the results a little bit later on in the day. Not too much longer, but just a little while. So I'd like to say thank you very much once again to everyone for joining us here for this session, both in person and online. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to take a quick 15-minute break, and after that, we're going to have our last session of the day here on this stage, starting, as I said, about another 15 minutes. It's entitled U.S.-Japan Innovation, the next chapter for our future. So please remain seated if you have a few moments. If you want to go somewhere, come right back. Be sure to do so. But there's going to be a really great panel, so please come on back if you can. The announcement of the results of the Sushi Tech Challenge Final and the awarding ceremony will be held at the closing session at around 5:25 p.m. or so here on this stage. The winner, as I mentioned, will receive the award from the governor of Tokyo herself, Ms. Koike Yuriko. And if you're going to be leaving now, please be sure to return your simultaneous interpretation receivers to our staff. If not, just chill out, hang out here. We'll be back in a few moments. Thank you very much, and hope to see you in just a few moments. Thank you.